We have to
So,
talk sometime about the your Appalachian roots and how it keys into your intuition and empathic ability, because I think it's right there.
oh yeah, absolutely. I come from a long line
So
of
Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina.
oh, the southwestern part of Virginia, right on the border of
Oh, right
Kentucky.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right in Buchanan County is where my people are from. They're all coal miners and so yeah, and it's we got raised. I was the first generation raised above the poverty line, and so I was the first raised outside the hollers. We were raised out in Fauquier County down the road from here in Northern Virginia, and but we grew up in that culture and with that language and dialect and music and storytelling and all of that. So yeah, it's a huge part of who I am. And it is a central part of who I am as a writer. So
Not quite Appalachian, but are you familiar with Flannery O'Connor?
my
The,
goodness, yeah.
of
Yeah,
course.
I'm a southern
I
girl
knew,
too.
I knew. So, her famous collection of short stories and her most famous short story, I think, is A Good Man is Hard to Find. And
No.
there's a musician who was getting his PhD in Flannery O'Connor and uh, created a whole album of music inspired by Flannery O'Connor. And I'll send you the link. And the one song that I've heard is "A good man is hard to find, but a bad man's easy." And
Yes. Flannery O'Connor is the best she was the one that said, Southern women are Mack trucks disguised as powder puffs.
yes, yes.
She's full of that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, we could do a whole other conversation on this. I had real trouble with Flannery O'Connor
Yeah.
until I read someone, or maybe she herself was described. Oh, no, she was very fond of a critic who said that reading Flannery O'Connor is like reading the Old Testament. And I was like, ding, I understand now. And then I read her letters, her correspondence,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, she's amazing. I refer to her as the modern day Flannery O'Connor because she's amazing. The author Lee Smith, she's a novelist and short story writer, and
Lee.
Lee Smith, she's wonderful, and she's from Buchanan County. Yeah, she's a New York Times best-selling novelist. I mean,
I don't know her.
she's
Yeah.
she's fantastic, and I look at her like a modern day Flannery. I mean, she's so funny. She's gritty and wonderful. Silas House, who's a good friend of mine, he's currently the Kentucky Poet Laureate, but he's a novelist also. He's had a bunch of New York Times best-selling novels, and he's done very, very well for himself. And we have these great conversations about the canon of like what is current Appalachian and Southern literature. What does that look like now?
Right. Yeah.
Flannery and Faulkner and all these people they're always going to be part of that canon. What is this move into modern novels and modern poets, and who's in that, and what do they look like, and what do
Okay,
we
but
think?
let's hear some Lisa Parker because I hear she's
Yeah,
great.
I know.
All right, well, let's see. This one I actually wrote recently, and again, it was like trying to wrestle something so huge down to the page that I just really, really got it pared down to just the smallest thing I could. So this is called Hamid Karzai International Airport, Kabul, August 2021. When it's clear we won't take any more allies to safety inside the gates, parents begin to throw babies wrapped tightly in blankets, so brightly colored, hurled over concertina wire. Fuchsia blurs, as bright as zinnias, suddenly airborne against the brown background. And we watch the desperate lunges of Marines on the other side, their weapons thrown down as they pitch forward, their eyes focused only on the everything falling toward them.
Wow.
Now, this one, Carmen, I wanted to read because when I first saw the link on LinkedIn and you all were talking about awe, I just thought, I love this woman. Look at her talking about awe in this way. And to have been a senior in the Intel community talking about how you love to be awed. just, that was where I started watching this with devotion and saying, okay, this is a great intersection between these two women. And so I ended up writing this poem about that. And this is just called Mystery. And it starts with a quote that you said during that podcast. We humans, I think, at least for now, are fated to live in a universe that we don't understand. So that, to me, is such an interesting condition to be in. And I also believe in awe. I awe. I want to be awed. Carmen Medina. Mary Oliver said, beauty can both shout and whisper, and still it explains nothing. With age, I'm more good with that than not. The older I get, the less I need the explanations and theories. I'd rather watch the unnamed spider at the center of its masterpiece and say to it simply, good job, you, than to understand tensile strength or the geometric probability of a meal caught in its sticky perfection. Because always, always is the stray sunlight glint that gives away the surprise. A last minute steer clear of a moth or beetle duly warned, or the gust of sudden wind that sends that rough hickory leaf on thermals to pierce the whole delicate balance of things.